I guess the nice thing is next week we'll get to actually talk about what happened, because by the time we all get on here, it will have happened.
I know. It still might be going.
I would hope not,
There you
because
go.
it starts at 4:30 your time.
I know.
If it is still going and it is like 8 o'clock, geez, are they live streaming GTA 6?
Did they let what's his name win an award again?
yeah, Christopher Judge.
Judge.
He started talking again.
Did they let him win another award? He's the only homie to get more screen time during that show than Jeff Keighley.
Yeah.
Jeff
Right.
Keighley walks out with the lightsaber and starts beating him with it. Get off
He just
that
starts like
blade.
shoving him, like, yo, get.
Well, what was it we said? What was it we said? No, is like eventually the crook was gonna come out and like
Yeah,
pull
the hook,
Christopher Judge
like-
off.
Like the like the Bo Peep hook, like from
Yeah.
theaters and stuff to pull him off the stage.
I think it's
Oh.
funny how Jeff was so you could see he was trying his best. Like there was so much passive aggressiveness after that whole thing finished. Yeah, that's the longest speech we've ever had. I think I got that cadence perfect.
What was it like? They started playing music to like speed it up, and it stopped, and they had to come back to it.
It was so good.
Game Awards.
Yes.
Next week. This is the fun time of year. Besides
Yep.
summer, thank you, Jeff Keighley, for bringing back summer a bit. And now for giving us a second time of year where we get to talk about stuff. We got the
A
The
third if
Game
you count
Award.
opening night live in Gamescom.
I don't-
It's smaller though.
It is. I didn't pay attention to opening night live. There was like one major announcement.
I was
Fine.
getting off a plane with my phone like this, trying to watch it because it had just started.
If
Super
it's barking at
pixelated.
people to move, yes, I'm trying to watch. opening night.
Yeah, but it's here next week as
Yep.
the time of this recording. Woo! Game Awards 2023. It is a doozy because this year's been a doozy. So we're gonna go through
Yes.
most of the nominations, not all of the nominations, but we're gonna go through most of the nominations.
The ones you will
And-
tune into this show to care about.
Yep, and have our predictions. We'll see next week what was picked, who got what right, and all that stuff. So this has got to be fun. So we're gonna start with. Let's just get right into it. We're gonna
I-
start with.
I am disappointed that there is no IMAX showing this time around.
Oh, there's not.
Nope.
I wonder
So
why not.
otherwise, knowing I might have
We would have.
chanced to
Probably
trip.
expensive.
Oh yeah, we would have already like had things booked and stuff.
Yeah.
We would have saw that one dude again in the suit that walked in.
It was like it was an actual award show in there.
Yeah.
I couldn't have. I was like, okay, is he overdressed or are we underdressed? We're suits. Yeah. Somebody either forgot to send us the memo or forgot to send him the memo.
Yep.
All right, let's start with we're going to step all the esports stuff. Let's start with most anticipated game. Our options: Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, Hades 2, Like a Dragon Infinite Wealth, Star Wars Outlaw, and Tekken 8. Gentlemen, what are you picking?
Let's see.
Don't blow
For
me away.
my most anticipated is Hades 2, obviously, but I think Rebirth will win. I think that's my go-to. I think it's got the momentum from the remake success and all of that glory, and so I don't see, especially with the other ones, like, no offense to them, but I think that the fans are foaming at the mouth for Rebirth.
Foam stars.
Where's that on this?
Right?
I know. Where is Foam Stars? Where's Foam
Move
Stars?
Tekken 8
Um,
off the list
it-
and put
it-
foam stars. And see how
In
this
all
goes.
fairness, I'm looking forward to Foam Stars. That being said, I do think that Noah is correct. Final Fantasy VII Rebirth is going to win. I am very excited for Star Wars Outlaws, though. So that is the personal thing that I would want to win. But I do think Final Fantasy VII Rebirth is going to go away with it. I am very excited or very surprised, though. Like, it feels like there's some other games that just missed out on this list. Like Avowed, where's Avowed? Like that to me is a real big game, and I'm surprised that's not maybe more hyped up than, like, for instance, like Tekken 8.
David, don't you know that the Game Awards are anti-Xbox?
Oh, I
Didn't know
forgot
that?
there's the Xbox tax. You know,
Yeah.
even though
Exactly.
Phil Spencer himself is on the council, the advisory council, you know, it's
Absolutely.
completely anti-Xbox.
He has to keep up the underdog story, and that doesn't happen if you keep putting Xbox stuff on the list. So no, of course,
I guess that's why he's permanent. I guess that's why Xbox is permanently in third place, as he put it.
Absolutely, yeah. There you go. What do you think is going to win?
Oh, 7 Rebirth. I think Rebirth wins.
And then what are you going to pick? Like,
Well,
You-
personal pick
Yeah,
was Star
personally.
Wars Outlaws. Star Wars
Okay.
Outlaws. I love Star Wars Outlaws. Like
I gotta write
it
these
looks
down.
awesome. Gotcha. Yeah.
I'm making
He's got that Elden Ring experience going on there. Got to write everything down.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm over here putting in a Google Doc all of my stuff, that way I remember it.
Oh, seriously. So I'm actually with Noah. I will personally pick Hades 2. That is my vote.
Yes.
I know Noah was
Yes.
all excited about that when it hit the screen last year at the Game Awards.
Oh, it was great. I was like
Remember-
5 minutes in, I can go home. I got a Hades
Oh,
2
yeah.
trailer. I can go home.
Right after that, I got my Judas trailer, so we were both ready to go home.
Oh yeah, we're like, damn, why did we drive up here? This is a 10-minute show. We're good.
You remember that? What year was it? I'm looking for it off the top of my. Well, I don't know. It's 2020 actually. Hades was nominated for Game of the Year. So at first I underestimated it, and then I was like, oh yeah, I forgot. Like this, people do. I mean, Supergiant hasn't missed. You could say maybe games were weaker, but Supergiant hasn't missed. Hades 2. People are looking forward to it.
Isn't it their first direct sequel to
It
a
is.
game? Yeah.
So the interesting thing is Star Wars is a huge brand.
Yep.
And if you compare it to Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, Outlaws is more on people's radar. And I think part of that is Star Wars. Like if you look at YouTube and all the trailers and all that stuff, more people have watched Star Wars Outlaws stuff than Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. Now that is just one segment of data, but I think we know Star Wars is just a bigger brand than Final Fantasy.
The only
With
thing
that
is
said-
that, yeah, go ahead.
With that said, I don't think Star Wars has shown very well in comparison to Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. Like we know what Final Fantasy VII Rebirth will be because of remake. So I think as far as the judges are concerned, Final Fantasy VII Rebirth will probably win.
A lot of the judges, what I was going to say is a lot of the judges probably played it too. So that helps.
Ooh, that's a good point. Sorry,
Whereas
yeah, I mean,
I don't think anything beyond it. Well, I guess Infinite Wealth and Tekken 8 are other ones they've played. But that would be it.
yeah, I think it's going to be Final Fantasy VII Rebirth.
Mhm.
That's
Yep.
going to win.
I think we have a consensus there.
All right. Let's move on to the next one. Best adaptation. As soon as it pops up. We got Castlevania Nocturne, Gran Turismo, The Last of Us, the Super Mario Bros. Movie, and Twisted Metal. David, what do you think is going to take it?
So I don't think it's going to win, but Gran Turismo was actually a lot of fun. I went and actually watched the movie last week and really enjoyed it. So, like, I don't think it's going to win. I think it's actually between the Mario Brothers movie and The Last of Us. I'm actually
Same.
I have a really hard decision on that one, like which one I think press leans, because they're both so different
They are, yeah.
that it makes it really I am very 50-50. There are very few things on this list that I feel like are 50-50, and this is so 50-50 because The Last of Us, yes, it's this fantastic drama that really did a great job of show of being a live adaptation of a show of a game. Like there's not a lot of great live action adaptations, but Mario is just so fun, and it exhibits to me what I would expect a Mario movie to be. So
that's the thing. Like I wouldn't expect Mario to be quite like this, and I think to me it depends on how everybody interprets adaptation, because The Last of Us adaptation is more like a live action novelization of the game with like some details you didn't necessarily get from the game. So it kind of expands the lore of the actual game. Whereas Mario, we see what it's just like, it's Mario and it's goofy and it's zany and it takes all the characters that you love and it gives you a whole different perspective and fun to have with it. It has zero to do with the games other than just the all the Easter eggs involved with it. So I don't know. This one is tough.
Well, like
honestly,
you said, it depends on how people, or however the voters look at adaptation, because Mario movie I really enjoyed, but it just felt like a movie that was made that had Mario nostalgia and, oh hey look, this was in a game, oh hey look, this is a reference, whereas The Last of Us, it felt like an adaptation of the game, which I don't think the Mario movie did as well. Still a good movie.
But then how do you adapt Mario?
Yeah, that's
right.
It's how do you interpret adaptation? Like, just because, is it, if you make a film about set, in the universe as a game, is that, or did you have to kind of do what The Last of Us did, where they took the storyline and a lot of the elements and shift it into live action? So
because I could as easily argue that The Last of Us isn't as good simply because it's the game with some added stuff. So it's like, you wish they kind of expanded the lore in a different direction. Let us see a different side of the characters in terms of like different scenarios, different situations. But it's like, no, I
mean, we did get
already
the
know
Bill
what's going to
episode,
happen.
though. We did get the Bill episode, though.
Sure, yeah, no, I understand that.
So,
but as far as predictability, you could pretty much already know what's going to happen based on that. So it's kind of like with the Mario movie,
could go
it's
either
like,
way.
Good Lord, I don't what.
I guess if I take my 1% and move it to a column to kind of make the choice, I'm gonna go away from the brand power and go with Last of Us, because I just think that it's yeah, exactly.
Just go.
Castlevania Nocturne, the one guaranteed to lose game on this. No, I think that critically people will appreciate The Last of Us more than Mario, and I mean we literally saw that in the critic reviews. You did have a lot of people who didn't review Mario as well. We just knew it was going to make bukus of money because it's flipping Mario. Like, and it's an easy movie to go back and watch all the time. Like
it's a movie not made for critics, you know? Like that's the thing. It's a Mario movie.
Yeah, it's just a great movie. So, but yeah, Last of Us is my pick. I just think that's going to get it. Plus, you got to give the +5 for the Sony, tax. So
we're going to start a drinking game for
that's
the
why
kids at home.
That is exactly why they are doing a live action Zelda movie co-funded by Sony, so they get that extra Sony tax in there.
Nintendo playing chess while Xbox is playing checkers. Noah, what are you choosing?
The Last of Us. And it's a little bit biased toward my appreciation for how well Pedro portrayed Joel, and overall, even more than that, like the series, it felt like I went into the game with the scenery, the way the characters interacted. It all felt like an adaptation to me. So that's why that's why I'm going with that one, because it's the definition of adaptation is what the vibe that I get from that.
Yeah,
and it was really good.
It's
Oh, good.
it's interpretation. I think Mario is an adaptation as well. It's just a different kind of adaptation.
Which is very understandable. Yeah.
Yeah, it definitely could go both ways. I'm going to go with Super Mario. I think the appeal is undeniable. I get it's more mixed in reception compared to The Last of Us, but I think The Last of Us is easier because it's safer because it follows the game so closely. Whereas Mario, it's much more difficult to adapt that to the silver screen and make it work. And they made it work. Is it perfect? No, but it's far above average. So
honestly, it's exactly what I would want a Mario movie.
It's what I wanted. I wanted a fun movie, and that's what it is. So,
and also, Summer Games Fest was sponsored by the Mario movie, so Jeff's got that Mario money.
The Jeff tax is included.
Just a
now.
second.
So yeah, I'm gonna go away from you two, and I'm going to choose the Super Mario movie.
Just waiting for Jeff to say off the nominees, and it's like sponsored by Mario, and he's just like, "Oh, this is awkward."
The Mario hat, and then
this is from Summer Game Fest. That's the only reason I brought it out here. It's because it's actually from Summer Game Fest.
Now you have to actually pick the Mario movie. All right.
David wears the hat and is like, "Yeah, Last of Us."
it
doesn't when I throw it down on the
just like stomps on it.
In Mario 64, when he loses his hat, it's game over pretty much.
Yep,
David's about to go all Odyssey and chuck it into the wall.
Right.
Yeah.
All right, let's talk about best multiplayer. We have Baldur's Gate 3, Diablo 4, Party Animals, Street Fighter 6, and Mario Brothers Wonder. I'm personally picking Street Fighter 6, but I actually don't know which one's gonna win this one. This one's weird. So Party Animals, fun game. Mario Wonder, fun with friends. Street Fighter 6, great for online. Diablo 4, only good if you're playing with friends. And Baldur's Gate 3, I don't know enough about to determine whether it matters or not. So I'm automatically canceling out Diablo 4 and Baldur's Gate 3 because I feel like those games by themselves can be enjoyed without anybody else. So it's like not necessary to play multiplayer. Better, but not necessary. Street Fighter 6 is enhanced with playing with other people. Like that game is made for it and it's made well with it. Great netcode, all that kind of stuff. Rollback. Mario Brothers Wonder, I feel like, is also one of those games where it's kind of like you can enjoy it by yourself, but it is better with friends. And then Party Animals, I feel like, is only multiplayer, so it's got to be. So I don't know. To me, it's between Street Fighter 6 and Party Animals. I have no idea what the judges would pick. I feel like Street Fighter 6 wouldn't win because they don't play fighting games, so that you just don't get the love. I don't know. What do you guys think? This one's weird.
See, I'm on the Street Fighter 6 is the one I would pick.
Me
but
too.
I think that Diablo 4 will win. Because I think a lot of the press, even with some of the issues with seasons and stuff, I think they're just still so in love with Diablo.
Yeah, I can see that. You're right.
Their issues are not with the multiplayer. Their issues are with the live service.
No, I agree. Yeah, that's true. Yeah, that's a good point.
And they want to give Xbox something, so. And that technically counts
at this point. What are you feeling, Noah?
It's like you said, this is weird. It's tough just because when you see these noms, they don't scream multiplayer.
Yeah, none of them feel traditional. Like that's really the word.
We don't have
none of them feel like a traditional. And Party Animals is kind of, but
yeah, that's the only one that's like dedicated, I guess you would say, multiplayer. experience.
Yeah, that's why I'm kind of like Mario Wonder,
It's just
Diablo
weird.
4,
Like,
Baldur's Gate
I
3,
just when I see BG3, when I see Diablo, Super Mario, I don't think multiplayer.
Yeah, it makes you feel like if they put Elden Ring in, like
Yeah,
it's not something I would think of as
right,
multiplayer.
but it's like it's got multiplayer. Yeah.
Yeah.
I
Yeah,
mean, this
Diablo
is one
4
that
more than that. Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
always way off on these predictions because what was it, Splatoon 1 last year?
Well, that was just
And I was way off on
ridiculous.
that.
Yeah. Well, I think most of us thought Overwatch was going to win that one pretty handily.
It's
Now
definitely weird we don't have like an
The
online
prophecy
shooter
was fulfilled.
in the in this category.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna lean just because it reviewed so well. I'm probably gonna lean towards Street Fighter 6 just because I don't think while Party Animals is fun from all the gameplay and stuff I've seen, I just don't think it's worthy of winning. It if that makes sense. So I'm just gonna throw out Street Fighter 6.
Based on the description of this award for outstanding online multiplayer gameplay and design, including co-op and massively multiplayer experiences, irrespective of game genre or platform, I just feel like Street Fighter 6 fits that. It is queuing up two people to fight against each other, but the way they went about doing it, like making this whole like arcade room and like you run around, you could fight with your custom characters, you could fight just regular, just hop on an arcade and fight somebody. You can do training mode stuff now, which I don't think could be done in the past. So you could like get better with your friends online, which is not something that has happened. I just feel like Street Fighter 6 fits that description of outstanding gameplay and design. So I'm picking Street Fighter 6.
Yeah. My personal pick would be Street Fighter 6, but my gut feeling is that they're going to pick Diablo. I think the press will pick I think the critics will pick Diablo.
Okay. Written down. Let's go best sports and racing. This is what you guys are great at right here. You guys.
Fantastic at this one.
We got EA Sports FC 24, F1 23, Forza Motorsport, Hot Wheels Unleashed 2, Turbocharged, and the Crew Motorfest. Noah, what you looking at?
Just because I feel like it kind of has the Zelda power where it just screams, I am going to win. I'm going with Forza Motorsport. Mostly it's the one that I feel like people generally liked, and I don't know about the other ones to have an opinion of. I'm assuming the EA Sports, the FC24, people probably liked just because of the online card aspect of it. But yeah, I have no knowledge of this genre. I'm a baseball dude, so unless MLB's up there, I'm just like,
It's kind of
Forza.
unfortunate MLB is on there.
That's Forza. Like, let's go. I feel like that name carries a lot, so I'm gonna put my my guess down on what I carries that tradition of winning.
What's kind of interesting is MLB actually reviewed higher than pretty much a lot that's on the list. It actually reviewed higher than, let me find my thing here. It actually reviewed higher than the EA Sports FC. Believe it reviewed higher than Hot Wheels 2. It had the same score as F1 23. This is on Metacritic specifically. And then
I mean,
they couldn't reviewed higher than the Crew, so it's like it's kind of sad that it's.
But they
missing.
couldn't have put it in there though because they didn't want to put their audience to sleep though.
Yeah, but you put in FC, like you put in the FIFA game.
They would have said the nominees and been like MLB, and people would win like.
Well, they sped the game up, so maybe less people fall asleep. So
yeah, I think I'm like Noah in the sense that I think it's Forza's the clear winner. It just people like Forza. It just makes the most sense,
and it wins awards.
So you're saying Forza?
Yep, it is Forza.
It is Forza.
There's a T in there somewhere. Just got to find it.
Or like
horizontal.
Yeah.
I'm actually going with F123. It's the highest rated F1 in a while, and a lot of people liked it. And we have to remember there's a lot of UK European outlets voting here, and they like them some F1. And so you got a good F1 that they like. I believe Codemasters is also European, UK. I think F1's got a strong chance to win this. So I'm going to take my chances, and I am going for F1 23. My personal pick is Forza, but I think F1 23 will actually win it. EA Sports FC 24 doesn't stand a chance. Hot Wheels doesn't stand a chance. The Crew should stand a chance. It was actually good. Motorfest was really good. But I don't think it stands a chance against Forza or F1 in this case.
Yep.
All right. Best sim and strategy.
This is actually a lot like more competitive a category than it has been in the last couple of years.
I would agree. I think some people would
3
argue
Nintendo games.
Yeah.
Sheesh.
Yeah, I think some people would argue what is a sim and strategy in this case. But you got Advance Wars 1+2 Reboot Camp, City Skylines 2, Company of Heroes 3, Fire Emblem Engage, and Pikmin 4. David, what's your gut telling you?
Um,
Not much I can it seems.
I want I would like to see Fire Emblem Engage win because I really enjoyed Fire Emblem Engage. However, I think we're going to see Pikmin 4 actually sneak that one out. I just think people really liked it.
It is a high rated game this year.
Cities, I do think there's like, even though it's good, it's just that initial launch kind of screwed them with the perception. So, and Advance Wars, as much as I know people are going to like it, it is kind of a niche. It's a niche in its niche.
Fire
It's
Emblem
funny. Yeah,
at
it's
this point.
like, it's still good, but I don't think a lot of people played it. So I would love to see Fire Emblem get it, but I think Pikmin 4 gets it.
I agree. I think Pikmin 4 gets it as well. I think it was too highly rated. I think it was too popular. Noah, you played Company of Heroes 3, didn't you? Or is that a different game? Or
That was a different
you
game.
previewed
That was a
it?
different one. I played
Okay.
Classified 44.
Oh, that's
at
right.
a PR event.
Got my two C's mixed up there. Okay, yeah. Then nobody's played that. I mean, I've heard good things about it.
I've heard it's really great. So
Yeah, but with so many people liking Pikmin and it reviewing very well, I think to me, it would be between Fire Emblem and Pikmin, but I think the winner will be Pikmin.
Fire Emblem reviewed well. I think the Fire Emblem hardcore reviewers find enough issues with it to say no on voting for it. And I agree with David when it comes to City Skylines too, because I like the game. I didn't have a problem playing it with its lower performance, but people were having more issues than just straight up performance. So I think Nintendo's track record will take it. All right, all three of us Pikmin 4. That would be a shocker if we're all wrong. All right, best
we saw
family
Splatoon win best multiplayer in a year where there were better multiplayer games. So
Splatoon was a good multiplayer. That's the thing. Like
I just don't think it was better.
That's fine. Yeah, I guess. Best family. Disney Illusion Island, Party Animals, Pikmin 4, Sonic Superstars, Super Mario Brothers, Wonder. Pikmin 4, no. Party Animals, maybe. Here's what I want to win. I really want Disney Illusion Island to win this.
Same. That's the one I want.
Because it's so much more unique in comparison to the others. That Mario Wonder, that's a great freaking game. So I don't want to suggest any Mario Wonder slander here, but Disney Illusion Island does something unique and fresh. Not necessarily for platforming, but in terms of presentation and the experience that you have while playing a platformer. And I think it's great for family, as you demonstrated, David, in podcast weeks ago. The type of gameplay it has, how it can. It's not really a hard game, but it's a game that's great to play together.
Yep.
And then those cutscenes are great. And you want to watch more. But that's what I want to win. I think Mario Wonder is just going to win, though, because it's just a freaking dang good game.
I'm on the exact same track as you, Anthony. I think Mario Wonder takes it, but I want Disney Illusion Island to win so bad.
Noah?
Yeah, going in line. That Mario, it's got the name, and it was really well received. I don't see it not winning this. As great as it would be for Disney Illusion to like sneak in a W, I just don't see it happening with how much power Mario brings to the table.
Too much power.
Too much firepower.
Too much. All right, best fighting game. We got God of Rock. I don't even know what that is. I know, right? Mortal Kombat 1, Nickelodeon All-Star Brawl 2, Pocket Bravery, and Street Fighter 6. Noah? What you thinking?
I never even heard of Pocket Bravery. From what I saw,
Sounds like a
a lot of
mobile
people,
game.
it really does. That's what I thought. I was like, wait a second, but did they
I'm
mix
assuming
up
it
like
is.
the noms? I'm gonna lean towards Street Fighter 6. I think Mortal Kombat 1, people liked, but I don't think people liked it as much as Street Fighter 6. None of the other ones I think come close in terms of not only like presence, but just people receiving them in general. And we heard nothing but phenomenal things about Street Fighter 6. You've praised it so much. I don't see it not winning. So I'm gonna go with the safe pick, Street Fighter 6.
David?
I mean, it might be one of the safest picks on this entire list is Street Fighter 6 because I don't think anything is in its. I don't think any of the other games here are even in its wheelhouse. Like it's Street Fighter 6 easily over these. They can run that. That section of the show where they're just like real quickly rattling them off. That's where it ends up because this is such an easy, simple. Nobody was really looking for that anyway because they knew what was going to win. Street Fighter 6 should be there. It should win, and I'll be honest, it deserved a nomination for Game of the Year over a different Capcom game. So,
Resident Evil 4.
Mm-hmm.
I agree. Yeah, if there was a game I could replace with Game of the Year, it would be Street Fighter 6. But it's the highest rated fighting game out of all of these. Mortal Kombat 1 being the next highest rated.
And it deserved it because it was just so good.
Freaking good. Just amazing. Again, my hot take, I think in some ways it redefined JRPGs. It's a fantastic game. I think
it did for me what Injustice did back in the day for Mortal Kombat. Like it was that Injustice 2 redefined how I looked at a fighting game, and that's what Street Fighter 6 did again. So
yeah, I think they just in terms of the technicality Street Fighter 6 demands compared to every other fighting game, to make that game simplistic and still keep its complexity, I think is design genius. And then the story mode that they added to it that allows you to pretty much have a playstyle whatever you want. And it still allows you to understand how to play Street Fighter and get better if you want. Easily the best Street Fighter designed since Street Fighter 2. This is a really freaking good game. It is underrated in its appreciation, in my opinion. So yeah, Street Fighter 6, easy. All right. Nickelodeon doesn't belong on there. Best RPG. We got Baldur's Gate 3, Final Fantasy 16, Lies of P, Sea of Stars, and Starfield. David, what you looking at?
This one's a tough one personally, and I think this one is a lot more crowded because I think every single game deserves to be there that is on this list.
So
They're
you
all
believe
very
Final
good.
Fantasy 16 is an RPG?
Yes, 100%.
Okay. All right. Got that
And
clear.
that's actually, if I was going to pick one, I would actually pick Final Fantasy 16 because I love Final Fantasy 16. That said, I do think Baldur's Gate 3 gets it. It's just too hard not to give it to Baldur's Gate 3. Like, it's any category Baldur's Gate 3 in, it's going to be hard to beat Baldur's Gate 3. Like, that's just Baldur's Gate 3. And that's just the way the critics received that game. And like how you were talking about how it made Street Fighter 6 made fighting games accessible, like approachable, should I say, to people. Like, it sounds like, I've not played Baldur's Gate 3, but everything I've heard is like this made CRPGs something the masses want to play. And that is hard to do because people don't people don't always want to play CRPGs, the whole rolling dice, and they want to get, that's one of the reasons that like Final Fantasy 16, why Square Enix has kind of pushed away from the turn-based formula and whatnot. Why? Because it's slow. It doesn't always work for people in this day and age. You know, we're in this TikTok generation that wants everything fast. Baldur's Gate 3 made people sit down and roll dice. And then when they got mad at missing things on perception checks and stuff, they would reload and do it again. So it's not just that they did it once. They were doing this multiple times. They managed to
more in a game.
they managed to slow down RPGs in a generation where they're only getting faster, and people loved it.
When you
So
say it that way, yeah,
it's
I
it's
don't
hard
have
for
much
me not to
argument
say.
against that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's hard for me not to give it to again, personal Final Fantasy 16. Baldur's Gate 3 gets it though.
You that's hard to argue against.
You know me, when I'm actually prepared, I do pretty good.
Well, no, I mean, I'm prepared too, but I'm just saying, like, in the sense of, I haven't played Baldur's Gate 3. I don't. We're professionals here. I don't know much about Dungeons and Dragons. It is a game I want to play. I just haven't had really the money because there's other games I'd rather buy and play.
Yet either.
Yeah, well, it's not coming to Game Pass, so so I have to buy it. So I want to play it because everybody is just like, yo, like, I mean, it sold 21 million something copies on Steam. That's just Steam. I don't know what it sold on PlayStation, and God knows what it's going to sell.
The fact that it almost broke the concurrent user record is insane. Like,
yeah,
it almost broke Hogwarts Legacy from earlier this year.
How many people finished the game? That's a whole different story. But
yeah,
or even got halfway. But the fact that it's got so many people talking, it's got so many people interested in it, and even if they didn't get halfway through the game or even finish the game, the fact that they enjoyed what they played speaks a lot. You've kind of sold me on Baldur's Gate 3. Like, I would pick Sea of Stars just because I want something smaller, because Baldur's Gate 3 probably will win Game of the Year. But yeah, Baldur's Gate 3, you're right. All right, Noah, go.
They are also currently 89,000 players actually playing it right now with 100,000 24-hour peak. So there's still that many people playing this game.
It's a long game to play.
Still in Act 1.
Yep. And they're still there. Did you guys see they updated it and added like 4,000 lines of dialogue,
and an epilogue?
They're still hitting this thing with huge It's not just small update. There's not these little improved system performance kind of updates. These are hefty, meaty updates that they're putting in this game.
Like, for me, I would love to see Sea of Stars win it, just because I love the demo. I loved everything about it. Just haven't got a chance to play it. But kind of like how David said, nothing's beating in the previous category. Nothing's beating Baldur's Gate in Best RPG. It's a clear winner. I'm like pretty much at the end of Act 1, and I'm like 40 hours in. The depth of this game in its RPG elements is unheard of. It feels like there are so many hidden things, and the combat alone, the depth is incredible, but the interactions with the environment, the interactions with the NPCs, the way I can't remember if it was David that I told this, but the way that each character that you interact with, the way their facial animations are all unique, and it's not just a Bethesda game before they're staring at the camera while talking to you. They all have their own unique ways that they talk is incredible. It feels like when you think of a RPG, a role-playing game, Baldur's Gate hits every checkbox, and I don't see anything as great as some of these other titles are. They don't hold a candle to Baldur's Gate,
Yeah.
and that it's a clear winner for me.
I also hate that Cyberpunk 2077 it has already been out so long because it honestly deserves a nom with how good the 2.0 update was. And
Nope, they shouldn't have released it when they did. So.
No, they shouldn't have.
Yeah.
But just that
Bad
thing
old
would have ran
management.
away with some awards if they would have put it out. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm at the point where I do want to give it another chance, but
Best decision you'll ever make.
I don't know about that.
The
Playing
game
Mario
is
Wonder
fixed.
is
The game is
Quite an experience.
fixed, he said.
Best Action Adventure. We got Alan Wake 2, Marvel Spider-Man 2, Resident Evil 4, Star Wars Jedi Survivor, and The Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom. All right. Well,
Bruh, all I heard was banger, 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 banger. That's all I heard. Because this is,
this,
oh
This
man,
feels like a Game of the Year nominee list.
like yeah,
this is your actual Game of the Year nomination.
like jeez.
Yeah, when I look at Alan Wake 2, I haven't played it. I'm not into horror or anything like that. I know David's wetting his pants right now over Alan Wake 2, but this, yeah, I've heard nothing but good things. So I'm like, oh, here he goes. Here he goes.
Yeah, exactly.
He grabbed something out of his room.
I thought David was going to run to the bathroom. Because you're like, he's like, oh crap. He takes off.
I had to
frick is
get my.
that?
It's the thermos from Alan Wake.
I thought it was a microphone at first.
Nope. It's it's the thermos from the Oh Dear Diner that's in Alan Wake.
Oh,
They had
okay.
You could collect 100. It was one of those like the Assassin's Creed feathers. You could collect 100
Oh,
of
God.
them in the original game.
You have 100 water bottles. Great.
Yeah,
Um,
congratulations. You'll never have a cold beverage.
You can have a water bottle. You can have a water bottle. So yeah, so Alan Wake 2, tons of praise. Marvel Spider-Man 2, I mean, it's
Tons of
Spider-Man
praise again.
2. Tons of praise. And Resident Evil 4, like that has been the talk of the town. Star Wars Jedi Survivor, yes, the performance issues on PC overlapped its success, but that's still a good game. And then you have Tears of the Kingdom, and that speaks for itself. Good God.
This really feels like I'm having to make a Game of the Year decision.
It really does. I mean, there are three games on that list that I think are automatic, like could win any other. Like
Well, yeah, Alan Wake
technically,
2,
all
Anthony
five of them,
Ford,
all
too.
five of
Yeah.
them are any given year. I mean,
Yeah,
this year has just been so good.
Freaking Jedi Survivor, like Jedi Survivor is probably the weakest one on the list, and
Yep.
that's only because of the performance issues on
Yes.
PC. The actual game itself is freaking really
I
good.
mean, good.
I mean, absolute jaw drop moments like in that game.
Mhm.
It really,
so
really.
good.
One that feels like an adventure.
Another
Yeah.
one that's been in my gaming ADHD of I need to go back to this again.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm in the same boat. I'm like, I need to find time to finish this because this was very good.
So I told this to Noah one
don't
year that there's the game I think will win, the game my heart there's the game I think will win, the game I would pick to win, and then the game like
what's the difference
like my
between
heart
I think we'll win or
like
pick?
I like it's kind of that, or the game I think they will pick, the game I would pick, and then I would say the game that my heart wants, so to speak. My heart loves Jedi Survivor, but I do see, like you said, that there is reasons it will not get it. I think this will probably be where you give Tears of the Kingdom something. Like that's just kind of what I think. The game I want to win though is Alan Wake 2. It
Oh, we know
deserves
that.
it. I love Alan Wake 2. The more I think about this game, the more I love this game, and the more like that I just see what this game has done. Like for the everybody who just this is a sequel. This is not just a sequel. Like this is something that can push the medium forward. Like it's a, not to mention it's a technical masterpiece that when you put it on PC, it's the new Crysis. Like not only is it can I run it, but it's also, man, it looks incredible. Like what it is on PC looks incredible. Like it's just it is a standard in terms of just visuals on PC.
Here's the thing though, Resident Evil 4 exists, and like that is also a technical.
Spoken by someone who has not played Alan Wake 2.
That's fine. You'd be surprised at how well I could translate things that I see into what is actually on screen when you play it. But Tears of the Kingdom is on the Game of the Year list. Resident Evil 4 is on the Game of the Year list. Marvel Spider-Man 2 is on the Game of the Year list. Alan Wake 2.
Literally only one of these games is not on the Game of the Year list.
Correct. So it's likely going to be between Baldur's Gate 3 and Tears of the Kingdom, more than likely. So then it is, all right, let's look at this list. People are voting for Tears of the Kingdom or Baldur's Gate 3. So do you give Tears of the Kingdom if you don't pick
That's what I said is I think this is where you give it to the Tears of the Kingdom, and then like to me, like I think I personally want Alan Wake to win. That's the one I want to win, but I think they're going to give it to Tears of the Kingdom here.
But if you pick Tears of the Kingdom for Game of the Year, do you decide to pick something else? Like Resident Evil 4?
Tears of the Kingdom isn't.
Resident Evil 4 is freaking good too. Alan Wake 2 is freaking good too. Honestly, the next weakest one is probably Spider-Man 2.
And I've had this discussion with some, but I actually think Alan Wake has actually crept up into the conversation as the second to Baldur's Gate.
No.
Like not Tears of the Kingdom. The reason I say that is because the way the press has reacted to it. We have not seen a lot of reactions the way we've seen these Alan Wake 2 reactions.
You forget what people were talking about with Tears of the Kingdom when that game came out.
I even loved it.
I know. I'm saying your Alan Wake 2 glasses are on right now, and you forget that people are...
There's a lot of people wearing Alan Wake 2 glasses right now. That's why I'm saying this.
Yeah, but when it's actually time to sit down and pick one,
if you love it, it's so adorable when the little bros try and eat at the big bros table, isn't it?
Well, again, I think the weakest ones in comparison are Survivor and Spider-Man 2. Like Resident Evil 4 could eat at the table in this category.
I was meaning how thinking that Alan Wake 2 is gonna creep up into the Baldur's Gate.
Last I checked, it actually is tied with Baldur's Gate in terms of nominations, while Zelda isn't.
Zelda doesn't need 1 billion nominations. All it needs is
I'm just saying that proves how much it is impressive.
Elden Ring proved that. Like Ragnarok.
Yeah, it's impressive because you didn't expect what you expected, or you didn't expect what you got from Alan Wake 2. So it is impressive in that regard, and you don't ignore that. That is part of its prestige at this point. But Tears of the Kingdom is Breath of the Wild, but better. So,
the thing is I can say that exact sentence, and that's why it doesn't win. It's Breath of the Wild but better. That's it. They didn't. They just improved on the. All they did was improve on the formula. The Breath of the Wild already did a lot of this.
If you have a perfect formula and you make it a more perfect formula,
they didn't even like they reused the map, man. They reused the map.
So he changed his voice. That means he knows he lost.
I do think that But I do think that I actually do think that Alan Wake is actually the dark horse in a lot of this, and I think Zelda has. I still think it's going to win some things. I just don't think it's going to be as high on some people's lists. It's a tough year.
I agree. In this list, I think Zelda's number one. Alan Wake is clearly number two.
When I literally said, and I said, like, I think that Tears takes this.
I'm just gonna go. I think people will want to give Resident Evil 4 something. So I'm gonna go with Resident Evil 4 on this particular category because I think Game of the Year is clearly between Tears of the Kingdom and Baldur's Gate 3. Resident Evil 4, I think a lot of people think deserves something. It's not gonna get Game of the Year. This is clearly the next best category to give it something. So I think there's gonna be some mercy votes for this one. I'm gonna pick Resident Evil 4. Noah, what are you picking?
We've spent so much time, and we're not even on the Game of the Year.
I know.
Welcome
This is
to
heart-wrenching.
the.
I think Alan Wake could steal this one. Like, I think it could take this, win this category, but and that's a slim chance because I think Tears is taking it home. I think it's going to win this and then lose. Spoilers, my predictions on Game of the Year. So yeah, I'm going with Tears.
It's hard not to talk. It's hard not to talk about.
Yeah,
Game of the Year.
That game just the action combats so well, and the sense of adventure in the game is just unparalleled.
Yep.
Yeah. I'm not like a big Breath of the Wild fan, but Tears of the Kingdom, I mean, to me, does some design stuff that is just bonkers. I'm like,
I don't even want to know the coding.
Allow people to cheat in the game and still make it balanced. It's just absurd design. That's next level. All right, best action game. We got Armored Core 6, Fires of Rubicon, Dead Island 2, Ghost Runner 2, Hi-Fi Rush, and Remnant 2.
And Redfall.
Why did you have to ruin this conversation?
We didn't even eclipse an hour, bro.
We were close.
Noah, what are you feeling on this one?
Easily Remnant 2.
Oh,
that
easily.
Game,
Okay.
Yeah, easily. I think that game does so many things incredibly well in terms of not only its combat, but every aspect of it. It's such a good game that I hope more people can experience more of, which they can because it's coming to Game Pass. So there you go. But Remnant 2 is such a cool and great action game that I don't see. I think the one that could beat it would be Hi-Fi Rush. But I just don't see it beating Remnant 2. So that's my insta lock is Remnant.
See, I don't see anything beyond Hi-Fi Rush and Armored Core because they love FromSoft over there, and I think Hi-Fi Rush actually edges out Armored Core. I just wouldn't be surprised if Armored Core won. That said, I'm giving it to Hi-Fi Rush. I think that'll be the one that wins, although I wouldn't be surprised if Armored Core won.
But here's the thing. Remnant 2 is a Souls-like shooter. And people like their Souls-like. That's what Remnant 2 is. So...
Yeah, but this
so much more.
game is made by FromSoft.
I get that, but
yep.
Just the idea of a...
I didn't hear a lot of people talking about Armored Core. I heard a lot of people talking about Remnant 2. So...
Yeah,
that's just me, my perspective on it.
You need to fix your Twitter feed.
Yeah, it's plagued with anime versus Armored Core is what it is. That's my problem.
I started playing Remnant 2. Not enjoying myself. I'm not.
And he spent money on it.
No, I know, right?
That's what it is. That he's salty. We have him quoted. He was like, "I can't believe I bought this game and it's going."
Yeah, right. I like what it does. I think I just realized I don't like Souls-like games. Like I don't like limited movement just for the sake of difficulty. Like it's just, some of the things that I'm doing in this game, I'm like, why does it have to be this way? Like why is my movement so limited for what exactly? So it's not that Remnant 2 is bad. I just don't think I just vibe with that style of combat, especially when I have guns. Like it's just like I'd rather have a lot more free flowing movement, and then the enemies are created to be difficult around that free flowing movement. That I think that's just what I prefer. So this limited, like, this is your range right here of movement, and you gotta figure out how to defeat the guy right there when you got guns. So it's gonna take me a while to finish Remnant 2, but I feel like Hi-Fi Rush is the right pick. No, no, Hi-Fi Rush. I think it's not often you get a fantastic rhythm-based game that provides the type of action that can mimic something like a Final Fantasy 16 in terms of its fluidity and smoothness, while still having a very like rhythm strict kind of actiony type of thing. So I think design wise, I think it's more than just this is a beautiful game with fun characters. There's some really cool design with its gameplay. And people like Tango too. A lot of people like From Software, but a lot of people like Tango. So I'm gonna pick Hi-Fi Rush, but respect to Remnant 2 if it does win, because
and I would love if Hi-Fi Rush won. I'd be overjoyed for them.
Remnant. I want to put respect on Remnant 2's name, because as much as like I'm not really enjoying it, it's a me problem. Like I can appreciate what the game is doing. All right. What's up next? Are we doing best VR AR?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, let's do it. All right, best VR and AR, Gran Turismo 7, Horizon Call of the Mountain. Why did I even question this? Of course we're doing this. Yeah, there's Humanity, Resident Evil Village VR mode, and Synapse. Now, David, you are kind of the resident VR person. What's your vibe?
I feel like Horizon Call of the Mountain is going to take this one. That said, Gran Turismo 7's VR mode is actually incredible. Like playing it in VR is absolutely stunning. And if someone has a VR, like a PlayStation VR, you have to have Horizon and Gran Turismo. Like it's just, you have to. That said, I think Horizon Call of the Mountain takes it. Personally though, I love Gran Turismo 7 in VR.
All right, Noah, what are you thinking?
I am the opposite of the VR AR guy. I have no experience or knowledge of any of these. So just because I love this series so much, I'm gonna go with Horizon Call of the Mountain. Purely based on the fact that I love this series so much that I feel like I have to vote for it.
Sure, yeah. I mean, I've heard it's good. I've seen some footage. It looks good. It generally does look good, especially for a VR game. And I don't mean look as in graphics. I mean, look like the gameplay does look fun. I've seen a little bit of Resident Evil Village. I've seen a little bit of Gran Turismo 7. I've heard about Humanity, but I don't know enough about it. But what I'll say, I don't know anything about Synapse.
I've heard things about Synapse, but
I think Horizon is going to take it because, number one, it is good from what I hear. But number two, Horizon's been snubbed too many times in previous game award stuff that I think people will want to vote for it because they want to acknowledge the greatness that is Horizon and give it something, because it is a good series. I haven't played the second one because it's not on PC yet. Because I don't have a PlayStation. But I played the first
Be there
one.
at the
I like
beginning
it.
of next year.
Oh, will it?
Yep.
Ooh.
Horizon with the Forbidden West with the DLC.
Oh, sweet. Okay. But I did like the first one, so I think Horizon. I'm going Horizon. All Horizon here.
Nice.
Let's go into best debut indie game. We'll skip best mobile. None of us do mobile.
I don't have.
Cocoon, Dredge, Pizza Tower, Venba, and Viewfinder. Nah. I wish there was a one specific game on here that is not, but will show up in a different category. But from what we have available, this is a list where I am ashamed of myself because I haven't played any of these, and because there's been so many other things to play,
Yep.
and I forgot that I needed to play some of these. From what I have seen, Venba and Viewfinder look fantastic. I don't vibe with Dredge, so and Cocoon does look interesting, but in terms of what I'm really interested in, Venba and Viewfinder look really good. But I feel like Viewfinder does some things, and I'm like, I vibe with that a little bit more. I haven't played them, so I can't get super specific. But from what I have seen, I like it, what I see. So I'm going to pick Viewfinder.
For me, like I said, I feel bad because this year's been so incredibly stacked. It'll be like I need to find an off season to play the indie games that I missed out on this year.
Oh,
Um,
yeah.
This year is a
The-
backlog, dude.
It's ridiculous. I think it's gonna go towards Dredge. That's the one that I've seen the most people talk about, and really enjoy. Like I said, I haven't got to play any of these because, like we said, this year's incredible. So I'm just gonna go with what I've seen the most people praise and kind of talk up. So I'm just gonna go with Dredge.
Not a bad choice.
See, I've seen a lot of love to Cocoon, so that's going to be my pick.
That's weird. I haven't seen
any.
any talk about Cocoon.
That might be the first one we've had so far that had each one of us pick a different answer.
Yeah.
But I've heard a lot of good stuff about Viewfinder as well. So
Maybe.
Yeah, this is the first one we all picked a different answer.
Hey, there we go.
We almost had that with the best action adventure, but Tears of the Kingdom.
Yeah, that darn Tears of the Kingdom.
All right, best independent game, not debut independent game, but just the best one, period. We have Cocoon, Dave the Diver, Dredge, Sea of Stars, and Viewfinder. Now, one of the biggest conversations around the Game Awards has been if Dave the Diver deserves to be in the independent category. What say you guys?
I guess it kind of depends on like where were they? Like did Nexon Nexon's a humongous company. So I mean
know, yeah.
like they are a big publisher, but was Dave the Diver mostly like a lot of the way done when Nexon came in? Because I think that's what I heard is Nexon wasn't necessarily there early before this game came out. But
I'm hearing
who knows?
conflicting things now because that's what I heard at first, but I'm hearing from like there was somebody on Threads who he's in the industry, but he was like this studio is Nexon, I guess in the same way that I guess kind of like Intelligent Systems kind of is with Nintendo. They're not really third party, in that way.
If that's the case, and if they're second party, essentially, is kind of the way I always look at it like that. If it's that point, then you probably don't deserve a spot.
Yeah, I don't know, but I also heard they weren't necessarily funded by Nexon
Yeah,
until later. So I don't know.
who knows?
I
In
just
any
don't know
case, I'm
enough about
actually
the situation.
in any case I'm on like Sea of Stars. That's my pick for
Yep.
this one.
Mm.
That's the one that I think could. I think it's definitely the most liked, but also I think that of all these, it could be tossed into a game of the year nom,
Yep.
and nobody would
I
question
agree.
it.
Nope.
The other ones, I think people would. Sea of Stars, I don't think people would question it.
Well, I mean, people who are AAA snobs would definitely be like, "Sea of Stars, that did it. Baldur's Gate 3 and Tears of the Kingdom. I can't hold a candle to that." But no, that game was freaking good. Sea of Stars. Agreed. Sea of Stars. I don't see any of these taking it because as much as people are talking about Dredge, and as much as people do like Dave Diver, obviously we have the issue with it. Although I don't know how the judges feel about Dave the Diver, so that one's kind of weird. But Cocoon and Viewfinder, I mean, those are good, but Sea of Stars sits in a different level than those. To me, it's kind of like Tunic when it is like the Tunic. Like it's Tunic. Sea of Stars. It's the highest rated of all of them, and I mean, universally, I think on OpenCritic, I mean, it's a lot of people like it. Very highly recommended to play.
Pretty sure it's
All
in
right.
the top 20 games of the year still.
It might be in the top
Sea of
10,
Stars.
I think. I don't remember.
Sea of
Best-
Stars is number 19, just so you know.
Okay, perfect. Thank you for that. Best community support. Baldur's Gate 3.
Funny award.
Cyberpunk 2077. Destiny 2. Final Fantasy 16. And No Man's Sky.
And it's Final Fantasy 14.
I'm sorry, Final Fantasy 14. You're right. I always get the I and the V mixed up in my brain, and then I just say 16. I do know IV means 4. Okay. David, what are you feeling?
Just go ahead and give it to Baldur's Gate 3.
Really? It's just
Yeah. Just give it to Baldur's Gate 3.
just any okay. Wow.
Everybody else has done a good job, but Baldur's Gate 3, they haven't had anybody mad at them the whole time. Everybody's been pretty happy with how this has gone.
Yeah. I mean, No Man's Sky keeps doing what it's doing. I guess it hasn't done great things, but it's holding steady. But I guess we can't reward holding steady. So,
Yep.
Okay.
Cyberpunk rebooted their image, but, there's still some people who are just not as hot on CD Projekt. Final Fantasy 14, like you said, that's another definition, holding steady. And dear God, we all know Destiny 2 isn't getting it.
Yeah.
Who is there to even
It's not
hand that
like the
award to
others.
at this point?
Yep.
Well, yeah, and then they just launched a starter pack that's like $15.
But they did pull it. They did pull it.
Oh, they pulled it?
Yeah,
They pulled it in a day.
Oh, I didn't see that.
Yeah,
Okay, good.
Yeah.
So
it-
do they get best?
And that's why they
community
get the
support then?
that's why they get the award, because they pulled the thing that
They
they
pulled it.
we're sorry we stabbed you with a knife. Let's go ahead and pull that sucker out.
Yeah.
whenever you have Datto scathing at you, you've messed up. Like that is
Since when do you have Datto scathing at anybody?
exactly.
He's pretty
genuinely, like,
gracious with his criticisms.
yeah, he's like, I can understand them doing this, but he was livid, and rightfully so. So
Did you see Tassie get cooked though, Noah?
yeah. Well, it's funny because he's like the tier list of how important feedback is to Bungie, and he's like, I'm
Like
probably
what DEF CON is.
Yeah, what DEF CON? He's like, I'm up so high up because I complain about everything. You know?
Well, I
He's
think
like,
he
"But
was.
when you make Datto mad, that's
Yep, it's DEF CON 1, DEF CON 1.
yeah,
But he was
Yep.
like, he's like, he was DEF CON 5, and then he said, and what was funny is a former Destiny comm manager went in, he's like, fam, 5 through 3, you guys don't even register. It was like, oh,
he's like,
it's not just that you got cooked by someone who doesn't even work there anymore.
which is funny because like Paul Tassi and a lot of the D2, it's such a funny relationship where he's like, I know I complain about everything. They're like, yeah, we know you do. But it's kind of a meme at this point.
Yep.
He's like, it took me years to get them to eliminate Blue Ingrams. Daniel gets it done in a day. you know, like, so
Yeah. I think you need to pull the mic closer to your mouth. No,
Oh, did it? Oh,
Yeah, there you go.
okay.
Yeah. So I don't know. I think with Cyberpunk 2077, I think people just don't
Yes.
view the comeback story as legitimate community support. Like that is you had to fix it, or else the game would literally just die. So if you don't fix it, then fixing it is not community support. Fixing it is fixing it. So, what I didn't know is what you talked about with Baldur's Gate 3, in that they're adding 4,000 lines of dialogue and an epilogue and things like that. I didn't know that they were adding stuff to this.
And they have been
already.
extremely supportive through early access. Like, people don't realize how heavily involved they've been with the feedback from the community. That's one of the reasons this game launched so well, is because of the feedback they were getting from the community.
Oh, that's right. This was the early access game.
Mm-hmm.
All right. I'm picking Baldur's Gate 3. What are you picking, Noah?
If BG3 wasn't in this list, I would say Final Fantasy, just because it's kind of what's won every year. It feels like
it's the definition of a good
community.
ongoing live service game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so, like I said, Cyberpunk, they've done so much. And I'll expand on that later in another category. But I think BG3, with everything I've heard from the transition, in early access, like they've just done so well in addressing all of the issues, and community support has been so good. Consistently, I think, is a key word there.
Mhm.
Consistently. I don't see anything but BG3 taking it.
All right, that moves us right into best ongoing: Apex Legends, Cyberpunk 2077, Final Fantasy 14, Fortnite, Genshin Impact. I find it a bit odd that Cyberpunk 2077 is in here, because I don't think it was designed as an ongoing game. It just
Is an ongoing game.
They've
because
kept
of-
adding
because they
content
had
and
to.
updates. So, but like, it's one thing to just add updates to like fix the game, but they've actually added content with like cars and weapons and things like that.
yeah, but I feel like that's been done since like 2007, right? Like
This
that's
isn't
just kinda
like
DLC.
Apex, where it's like, okay, we're in our new season kind of thing.
But it
So
doesn't feel like a
It's not the
store.
same. It's not the same feel. Yeah.
Like live service games at this point feel like retail stores in video game form, which Cyberpunk 2077 is not. That's not to
It's a-
disrespect Cyberpunk 2077.
It's
What-
sorry, it's the fam. This is ongoing because we haven't been able to play this yet. Like,
well, at this point, it's playable.
yeah, that's what I mean. Is it's like it took us this long to get here. It's ongoing because everybody took their copy, played it for an hour. Like, wait, I'm gonna wait till this fixed.
Well, the thing that people kind of overlook is that they've since launch, they slowly added little small changes and updates and content additions.
Yeah.
But their
I hear
big
you.
one was 2.0.
Yeah,
I just don't know that it constitutes, like, obviously it's almost a
win.
completely different game at this point, but it's almost more I do not think it constitutes ongoing, like, in
Yeah,
that
if
sense.
if
still-
Cyberpunk
it-
2077 was 2.0 when it launched, like just like that, and they were adding that sort of stuff, I still don't think that is ongoing support.
It's kind
Support-
of that whole adaptation. It's how do you interpret it?
Yeah.
That's the way I'm feeling.
Yeah, I guess
So-
in my definition, support is more like not what we are adding, but what we are adapting to what the player base is wanting, and how are we changing things to keep things fresh and interesting. That's how I see it. Which Fortnite, Genshin Impact, Apex Legends, Final Fantasy 14, those do that because as a live service games, that they have to figure out how do we keep this interesting so people keep on playing. Again, development of ongoing content. I can see how Cyberpunk 27 could fit with that particular language, but to me, adding cars and stuff that doesn't, skin, stuff like that, in a non-live service kind of way, just feels like DLC from like back in.
It feels
early
more like
2000s.
necessity rather than design. That's
Well,
almost,
I
the
would
way
flip it.
look at
Actually, I would say Cyberpunk 27 feels more like design, whereas the live service games is necessity. Because if you don't
Okay.
do anything, then people are
I
going
can get
to
with
leave.
I can get that. Yeah, I was looking
It's
at
like-
it more in the sense of the fixes were necessary, whereas the design of live service is to be doing that. So
Yeah, but I was
same
thinking about,
definition
like-
flipped. Same definition just flipped.
No, I get you. I was thinking
I-
about Cyberpunk as a finished product,
Yeah.
though. in
Yeah,
that.
I see your guys' statements. I hear you. I'm probably gonna lose. I am gonna lose, but I'm still picking Cyberpunk.
I'm
Because it's
picking
Cyberpunk.
I'm picking Fortnite. I think they have just.
Do you think that hits over Final Fantasy?
The only reason is, man, what they have done with like just engaging people, like that they
They
broke
have one
their
season
own
of
record.
OG content.
They broke their own records with that content.
They're like, hey, we
That's
can't
how
do
big
new
it
content.
was.
They're like, hey, we can't do new content. We have to go back to our old content.
Yeah.
Look what happened with World of Warcraft. They did the exact same thing. They
It's-
literally reset everything, and we're like, "Hey,
It's
play
crazy.
the old one."
Yeah.
And people were like, "Yes,
People- yes.
I think
the
there's
moist
a lot
critical
of-
meme of like, you know,
Yeah. I think a lot of critics are gonna vibe with that. Like Fortnite just did. It's
Do you
it's
think
way. It's
Final
always way
Fantasy-
bigger than I think.
do you think people just will overlook Final Fantasy just because they're like, it's good, like it's kind of
doing its thing. It kind of
Yeah.
there's a
They
word
haven't
that I
done
had and I
anything
can't think.
exciting this year, and I think
Yeah.
that's probably why it gets overlooked again.
Good things.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
It's
Not
like an offensive
outstanding
lineman.
things.
When you're not hearing, them being talked about, it's a good thing. It means they're
Right.
doing their job. They're consistent.
Exactly. But even still, like they haven't done anything that's punched above all the headlines this year, partially because it's been a stacked year. But I also think, just outside of the Final Fantasy 14 community, I think, they're largely satisfied. And this is, not really headline grabbing. So you think about all the judges, what's been popping? Fortnite, Cyberpunk. So
People are mad at Apex, so I don't think it's in the
they're
running.
always mad at Apex. So,
Hence why it will not get it.
I'm gonna say Fortnite 2. Just
Fortnite
because-
2. What have you heard? Breaking news.
Sorry, I didn't mean to break the NDA. We'll cut that.
Fortnite 2 has LeBron James.
That's
Actually,
why
I
we're
think
getting
Fortnite 1
Eminem.
has LeBron James.
It does actually.
I couldn't remember.
Fortnite 2 is actually just made up of a whole bunch of characters from different universes.
The multiverse. LeBron James is a janitor.
I just think Fortnite has not gotten its flowers from the
Recently,
Game
at
Awards
least.
ever.
Didn't they win several awards from the Game Awards in past?
I don't think so. That's actually been
They
one
were
of my
not one
criticisms.
year for Game of the Year.
They're always in the best ongoing category, but I don't think Fortnite's ever gotten any love from the Game Awards. I could be wrong, but I certainly don't remember.
It's been nominated for best ongoing several times at the Game Awards. I think
That's what
is
I said.
Happened. Yeah.
It hasn't been nominated for anything more than that, which is a travesty. But I think this year is the year Fortnite finally gets its flowers. For something, at least. Best ongoing is probably the least it can get.
Also, Jeff Keighley is in Fortnite this year.
Are you serious?
Like he's like, there's
No.
an actual Game Awards like themed like designed map like
What?
one of the build your own whatever things, the Fortnite editor or whatever.
How do people come up with this stuff? This is ridiculous.
It's
That's
nuts,
kind of
man.
funny. All right. Games for Impact. We have A Space for the Unbound, Chance of Semnar, Goodbye Volcano High, Chia, Terranil, and Venba. David.
I'll go with A Space for the Unbound mainly because you have talked about it so highly. I like Chia. I just don't know that it deserves the award over something I've heard you just be very excited over. And our own Corvo was very excited about this one too.
Yeah, Corvo gave it a 100. I
Yeah,
wouldn't even
Corvo
give it a
loved it.
100, but I would give it a 90.
You still gushed over it.
Oh, I love A Space for the Unbound. That one is easily going to be my pick. The thought, so it's a thought-provoking game with a pro-social meaning or message. The themes that they talk about in that is in A Space for the Unbound is a message everybody can relate to. If you've played it, you know exactly what I'm talking about. So I don't even want to like halfway mention like what it is because I feel like it would potentially give away like what it is, but the way they go about dealing with it, and it's such a freaking game. Like, it's just one of those you got to play. I wish more people. It's got less than 500 reviews on Steam. Like nobody knows about this game, but it's so freaking good. I don't even know what thought-provoking message Chia has. I don't mean that as a disrespect. It looks like a game with a Breath of the Wildish type of vibe that is bringing to light a different culture, which I think is dope.
Maybe that's part of what they're talking about is just it bringing the culture, because it's literally the island is actually based off of actual places on their home island,
right?
Where they came from and everything. So I'm guessing the culture, the folklore, all that kind of stuff. That's probably what they're getting at with that.
That's fair then. Yeah, I like that. I still want to play Chia. It's on my wish list. Noah, what are you going for?
Nothing too crazy. Kind of the same reasoning as David. You've praised and talked about it so much. Space for the Unbound. That's, and I've heard a couple of other people say nothing but phenomenal things about the game, and so that's, like I said, I don't have too much to go on because I haven't played any of the ones on here. So I'm kind of going based off of what I've heard and seen. So Space for the Unbound, pretty.
All right,
pick.
Let's go. Innovation in accessibility. I feel like I said that like a Jeopardy host, picking the next
accessibility.
Diablo 4, Forza Motorsport, Hi-Fi Rush, Marvel Spider-Man 2, Mortal Kombat 1, and Street Fighter 6. So, Sony's been doing great things in terms of increasing accessibility. I know Spider-Man 2 has those things. Hi-Fi Rush does a very good job in accessibility. Street Fighter 6 does a fantastic job with accessibility. I don't know what Diablo 4 does. that's puts it in this category. Forza does good things as well, taking a racing game and making it viable for people who have a hard time hearing or even seeing, and making it viable. I think that's cool. And then Mortal Kombat 1. I don't know what Mortal Kombat 1 does. That is at least on par with Street Fighter 6 in terms of accessibility. But I don't know. This one's tricky. I don't have any issues. I'm not colorblind. I don't, so it's like,
I don't have any disabilities specifically. So it does make it harder because you don't see it from that side. So
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It makes it harder to write about too.
Yeah. The only positions where I've put myself in where it's like what game was it? Oh, it was Back for Blood. And I remember they had audio cues like for everything in text. And so I just turned off the sound and see if I could play it just by the text. And remarkably, like I was like, oh, I can. Like, like this
That's
is
cool.
it was kind of wild to experience that. But for any of these games, I don't know. I haven't played Spider-Man 2, so I don't know like what it offers in terms of everything. I feel like I don't know if we're getting to a point where it is games like these where they've caught a carte blanche, have added everything that has worked from before the year before, you know, and so it's like all these games have done. The only reason why I say Street Fighter, I'm going with Street Fighter 6, and the only reason why I'm going for that is because it has done more to make fighting games specifically more accessible. Again, I don't want to overwrought the accessibility over approachability. It has definitely 100% made fighting games more approachable, but it also has done some things to make fighting games more accessible as well. Less accessible compared to approachable, but definitely for the fighting game franchise, more accessible.
Yep, I'm on Spider-Man 2, another one where I've just seen a lot of what they've done in their games, how they've it's not always just the laundry list of items that are there. It's that they have put a lot of effort into intentional features. Like it's not just we put this in the game to make just to put it in here. Like you can see a lot of the work that Insomniac has put in to address specific issues that certain players are dealing with, and they address a lot of them. And it's not just that, it's that they are focused on putting them in post-launch as well. So there's stuff that didn't make it in right off the bat that they're still working on putting into the game in patches. So the commitment that you're seeing there, to me, is also a big reason why they've innovated it, because they're not just stopping with, oh, we put our stuff in the game and that's it. No, they're even doing this stuff post-patch. So
yeah, that's good.
I mean, I think it's just, before I even go into my pick, the fact that the, I guess, quality of accessibility that devs are hitting now is just great to see.
Yeah, it's
Like
good.
It feels like they're trying to up their game every year, which is what we want. It's great to see. I really like. It feels like there are more genres and more games are now really kind of fighting to get that top dog in accessibility, which is great to see. And it's tough for us being on, on this side, trying to, talk and see. But kind of like David, like Sony has been kind of feels like not leading the charge, but they're the main ones you see talked about with their accessibility teams and what they're doing and the feedback that they're taking in. And it feels like they really are trying to push the envelope forward and make it a priority.
Like slowing the game speed, like is something you can do in Spider-Man 2, and that's something that's absolutely necessary with how fast and twitchy this game can be. Doing stuff like that, navigating corners, like they've actually changed how that functions. Like all these kind of different things that they're doing in this game that allows someone who doesn't have the same reaction time can react.
And there's so many things going on too in the combat, like being able to slow that. So yeah, just because Sony, like I just love what they're doing with their accessibility teams and stuff. I'm gonna go with Marvel's Spider-Man 2.
I love it when accessibility is not just a setting, that it's
not a toggle
the design.
Yeah, it's not just a couple of switches. It's a hey, here's a page of things we can do for you to make the game better for a better experience.
Well, that and it's just built into the way it's designed. It's not something that it's the slowdown of the combat or the way you turn the corners. It's not a toggle that you turn on and off. It is we designed it this way so that way It's still exciting for those who have that fast twitch ability, but it's also fun still for those who can't react as quickly. So nobody's losing anything with it. I also did forget to mention with Street Fighter 6, there was a blind person at Evo who played Street Fighter 6. Totally forgot about that until I was thinking about it. I was like, holy frick, like blind people are straight up playing fighting games. And like doing all right. So I'm like, there's something going on in that design, because to me, I'm like, I wouldn't be able to figure out like my distance from somebody else. But they've added in all kinds of sound cues and stuff to help blind people be able to play it. I'm like, that's next level when you can help a blind person play a fighting game. Like that is nuts.
When more people play, we all win.
Yeah. Shout out to all the noms though, like all of them. Big shout out.
Getting into the.
I genuinely though, I need to see some discussion from the accessibility community about what in the world Diablo 4 does specifically. Because I've played a lot of Diablo 4 and I have not seen anything that indicates some special, things that they've done for accessibility other than what has already been done.
What you mean? You can't play that game by just pressing one single button?
That's fair. All right, what do we got?
It's a joke. It's a joke. I'm not hating on Diablo.
Oh yeah. I'm not hating on it either. I'm like, I don't know.
Now we're getting into the heavy. We're getting into the heavy awards now.
With best performance, this is where
this is where it starts, man. It starts when you hit this, it starts going.
I think this is one of the big ones because of just the quality that we're getting now.
Star power.
We already got best action adventure. I mean, it didn't start there. No, okay, that was just a one-off. I'm just messing with you guys. All right, let's Ben Starr for Final Fantasy 16. Cameron Monaghan for Star Wars Jedi Survivor. Idris Elba, Cyberpunk 2077 Phantom Liberty. Melanie Libbard for Alan Wake 2. Neil Newbon for Baldur's Gate 3. And Yuri Lowenthal for Marvel's Spider. Why do I keep saying Spider? Spider-Man.
Spider-Man. I'm very sad because I really was hoping Alan would get nominated, but he is two people.
That's a Jurassic Park reference for
he is Ilka Vili and Matthew Peretta both play Alan Wake. So I'm assuming that's the reason it was a tougher. I would have loved to seen both of them nominated for the not two separate people, but nominate both of them for the same character. Like I think that would have been a good way that you could like do a nomination. Because Ilka Vili does the performance work, the model work. He is the model for Alan Wake, and then Matthew Peretta does the voice. So I would have really liked to see both of them nominated in a single line for Alan, like because he's they do a fantastic job.
Well, that's not what you got, David. So
I know it isn't. I'm just having to put out like what I was thinking there. I love Cameron Monaghan, however you pronounce his name specifically, as Cal Kestis. He embodies Cal Kestis. He's wonderful. He is the one in my heart that I would love to see win. That said, I think Ben Starr takes this for Clive in Final Fantasy 16 because that dude is a rock star. Yeah. He is a rock star. Love him. He does such a good job as Clive, and he is one of those people you need to be following on Twitter because his stuff is hilarious. Because every time like this random part pops up, he's like, I want to audition, and he does like an impression, and it's just not the impression of that character that it should be, but it's him doing it. Like when live action Link came up, he immediately like because he had been doing this for a while, he was like doing his audition for Link. And it's just great. He's just fantastic. So I'm picking Ben Starr. Like I think it's going to be really hard for the committee not to pick him. That said, there's a Baldur's Gate thing in here, so I would be surprised, but I'm going with Ben.
Noah?
I feel bad because as much as I really enjoy Yuri's performance, I'm probably gonna butcher his name. Najee Jeter is
Najee Jeter, yeah.
the guy who voices Miles. I think he deserved a nom. I know you can only put so many people on, but
There's so many good performances this year. Though. You're very
think
right.
He, in my opinion, he was the MVP of Marvel's Spider-Man 2. So I would have loved to see him get the nom. But in terms of my pick, it's my bias, Star Wars. Cam, I adore him in his performance. I think he nails it every time. He's kind of, I'm throwing some big. He's kind of like the RDJ playing Tony Stark. Like I think he was born to play Cal. I think the way it's effortless for him to play this character, and I think that he has a blast playing the character, and it shows in his performances and just the way he talks about being in the franchise and stuff like that. So I'm going with Cam. I adore Cal. I want Cam and Cal to transition to the live action. I know not everything needs to be brought into the live action, but I would love it just because I think he fits so perfectly and he does such a phenomenal job as Cal. So
Yeah, I
that's
feel
who
like
I'm going with.
now Cameron's done other stuff, but I don't feel like it's often where you can take somebody who was doing performance for a game and then it's like, this dude could probably pull it off in like an actual like TV show
like I said,
or movie.
He feels
easily
like Cal. Like so. And I thought Idris Elba also did wonderful, but he's just kind of expected to be perfect, like,
well, I mean, we've seen some. You of all people should be extremely familiar with certain celebrities who have come in to do voice work, and
it is not gone well.
It's not great.
But it's Idris though. He's perfect.
I know. I wish I've heard more from Idris Elba in terms of Cyberpunk, because I would just like to pick Idris because he's Idris.
If
Megan Fox and Mortal Kombat 1 guys, well, come on.
But I'm picking.
I've never heard somebody pick up a paycheck so fast.
Oh yeah. Anybody for Call of Duty? Actually, you should be very familiar with this. Cameron, I'm picking Cameron because I agree. He is Cal.
Yep.
When he goes home, he's still Cal. That's how much he embodies Cal Kestis.
He managed to convince Jeff to let him walk across the stage with the lightsaber instead of Jeff.
And I think I think you could tell a person was born to play a character when, I feel like for the most part people really like Cal, just character, his performance, and so just he's kind of universally beloved, and that's tough in a Star Wars universe with how crazy this fan base is. Like so.
He's a breath of fresh air. He's got the skill of a almost master Jedi, in this case master, but he has an arc to him, where it's like there is an improvement to him, there is maturity to him, but yet he still keeps a level of this edginess to him that I think people vibe with, and it's not corny, it's not cheesy, and he pulls it off so well. I feel like he himself is pretty mature but kind of edgy. So
it's the Peter Parker, it's the relatability. Like you feel like, man, this guy is like so good at doing what he does, but he's got that human side, like that he doesn't have everything put together. So
yeah, and it's conveyed in such a way that it's like it feels like Cameron himself like has gone through this kind of process,
Yeah.
and he can put it out there very well.
He understands the character
Yeah.
so well.
I just found
But
out
on the
he's
other-
going to be in Tron 3.
But I will say too, I've
Looks
heard
like
a lot
I'm
of great
getting
things.
tickets to Tron 3.
I've heard a lot of fantastic things about Ben Starr and his
Yes.
performance, and I'm only familiar with a little bit of it. And that little bit at the beginning of Final Fantasy 16 is very Japanese melodramatic style. So I don't know the width that he goes in terms of his performance, but I've heard nothing but good things about him since the last time we talked about his performance on the last podcast. So, and he was like dying to do this.
Yep.
So if he wins, I'm happy for him too. 3 people, for sure, like, well, actually the 4, Melanie too. But Ben Starr, Cameron, Idris. I'm happy if they win. Where are we at? Best audio design. All right, this should be interesting. Audio: Alan Wake 2, Dead Space, Hi-Fi Rush, Spider-Man 2, Resident Evil 4. David?
This
Alan
is a
Wake
tough
2.
one.
I wonder what David's going to pick.
It's Alan Wake 2. I mean,
Why-
even
why are
it's
you-
Alan Wake 2?
Building up the suspense.
Because that's
just
what
hold
Alan
up
Wake 2
your little-
does so well.
hold up.
It's what Alan Wake 2 does so well. Is build
Hold
the
up your little
suspense.
Acme sign, like how you know.
Yep.
Alan Wake 2.
No,
just skip
I
David.
personal pick. I think Alan Wake 2 deserves it. I would not be surprised to see Hi-Fi Rush get this though. So I'm going with Alan Wake 2. I just would not be surprised to see Hi-Fi Rush get it.
Hi-Fi Rush is interesting because from an audio design perspective, you can hear all the sound of it. Like, it's mixed well, and music is good, but it's not like groundbreaking design in that way. Like, it's still pretty standard, like, audio design, and that's no disrespect to the game. Like, I don't want to make it sound like, but I don't, when I play Hi-Fi Rush, I'm also not like hearing things where it's just like, oh my God, like this is some standard settings, or, you know, like it does what it's supposed to do and it does it extremely well. Like, and that's good. Like, that's what it needs to do. So I don't know that it fits for me. But I have heard Dead Space. That game sounds good.
That's what I was. That's another one that the design that I've heard is just
That game sounds
Top-
good,
top
and that
tier.
it's very important for that game. I would probably say same as Alan Wake 2, but yeah, when you're doing horror games, like, you got to nail the design because there's so many like little intricacies that you go in either direction, too loud, too soft, you know, all that kind of stuff. It could get real messed up. You know, the music's got to be everything's got to be mixed just for all the feelings and emotions and fear and all that to hit correctly. And from what I have heard from Dead Space, it does that very well through video. So I can only imagine when I put on my headset and I get that Dolby going.
Dolby.
Woo! Can only imagine. So I'm going with Dead Space.
I think Dead Space and RE4 both have goods. I really like the sound design in RE4. But I don't think they're, just from what I've seen and heard people talking about and from the videos and stuff, I think Alan Wake 2 beats them.
Okay.
So that I'm gonna go with Alan Wake. But Dead Space, I think, is very close second. Very close.
All right, let's go with best score and music. We got Alan Wake 2. I'm not going to try to pronounce all these names. So, Baldur's Gate 3, Final Fantasy 16, Hi-Fi Rush, and The Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom. Um, you guys know I'm not the most high on Tears of the Kingdom, but that music is good. But what I
Very
really
good.
appreciate about the music is the way it like subtly just dances around everything that you're doing. It's not this sweeping motion, the stuff that's going all the time. There's just little sprinkles here and there. And it's just like, oh, that was nice. I like that. And then it's gone. And you wish for more. And then you get more. And it's like, ooh.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Is it my birthday?
It's very much like that. Well, thank you. I appreciate that.
Oh.
Just little twinkles.
So kind
and
of you,
little
Nintendo.
things.
Thank you.
Yeah. It just feels like little sprinkles of candy just dropped on your porch real quick. You pick it up, you eat it. It's like, oh, that was pleasant. That was very nice.
It's
And
like
then
when
all
you
of a
go to
sudden,
the vending
you get the
machine.
big stuff, and it's like, whoa.
It's like when you
frick.
go to the vending machine and you get an extra Snickers bar. You know how it malfunctions and drops into.
Yeah.
You're like, hey, nothing can make this day be bad because I got
Yeah.
2 candy bars out of the vending machine. So
Yeah, so the bounce between pure quiet, this tranquility, the wind blowing and the water gushing and all this other stuff, enemy fighting, and then music. And it's like, oh, this is great. Like it, because it's not going all the time, it enhances what you're doing. And I feel like it does it even more in comparison to what Breath of the Wild did. I might be off on that, but I just feel like those little subtleties are enhanced with Tears of the Kingdom. So I'm going with Tears of the Kingdom on this one.
David, do you want to go next?
So this one's a fun one for me in the sense of it depends on
As
what's
you
included.
hold your Alan Wake 2 sign up.
Yes, as I hold my Alan Wake 2 sign up. So it depends on what's included specifically, because they do specifically note composer Petri Alanko for Alan Wake 2. If they include, and I'm assuming they do because it's best score and music, if they're including the chapter songs, which were done, as well as the Poets of the Fall, Old Gods of Asgard songs, this is Alan Wake 2 in a landslide. Because Alan Wake 2 is built around music and the music in it is incredible. I am still thinking about it and I'm hoping to goodness that they actually do a stage performance of the music because it is that good. Like I actually bought the vinyl for the Old Gods of Asgard songs from Alan Wake 2. Like it's supposed to be coming in here in about a week. If it does not include the chapter songs and the Old Gods of Asgard music, then I would give it to Final Fantasy 16 because, man, that soundtrack is fantastic. Like Soken just
That's what I say by a landslide.
kills it. If Alan Wake 2 includes the chapter songs and the others, it landslide.
Not a landslide. No,
because
Final
it is
Fantasy
fantastic.
16. Final Fantasy 16.
People are doing the dance from Alan Wake 2's Herald of Darkness song. Like they are doing the dance and putting it online, man.
Final Fantasy 16 holds some fantastic songs
Yes,
in there.
Herald of Darkness is incredible.
I believe it.
It's going to be Zelda, and I'll tell you a couple of reasons why.
Oh, why?
First off-
Because we got to reward the one-armed guy playing a 3-key piano.
No. Let me tell you why. Because it's the only nom composed by a team. No such as Nintendo sound team. That's why.
That one does crack me up. It's like all these like
Dude,
incredible, like these large
died.
names of people that you can't pronounce, and then Nintendo sound team.
Sound team.
Zelda's got like what 10 hours of music? I don't know. It's something ridiculous.
But secondly, like Baldur's Gate, I don't get a ton of, it doesn't resonate with me as much. I haven't heard a ton of. I've only heard a little bit of the Final Fantasy 16. It's great. I've heard a little bit of Alan Wake 2. But Zelda, I would stop playing the game to listen to the score. And for me, if you can make me stop playing a game to listen to it, instead of just having it in the background as I'm doing stuff, that signifies a win for me. So, and it's so good and perfect in every way. So yeah, that's why it's gonna win.
shout
All I
out
hear
to
is two people who haven't played Alan Wake 2. That's all I hear.
you have this like strange love affair with Alan
Dude,
Wake 2.
it's
Like anytime you
that
mention Alan
is
Wake 2,
incredible.
replace Alan Wake 2 with your wife and it could work. So any sentence you say that includes Alan Wake 2, replace it with your wife, it could work. Hi-Fi Rush also has some great music. I just want to give a shout out to it because we didn't mention it at all in this conversation, but it does have some good music. Now, it's not my personal favorite type of rock music, but it's still good. I enjoy it. So it just doesn't do what Tears of the Kingdom specifically does, but it is fun to fight to the music that they have. All right. Best art direction. This will be fast. We'll skip David on this one. Alan Wake 2, Hi-Fi Rush, Lies of P, Mario Brothers Wonder, and Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom. David, just go ahead.
Hold my sign up.
Yep. Get your water bottle.
Okay, so
Do whatever you gotta do.
I like the art direction of Mario Wonder. I like the colors and the the brightness to it, but a second, I think who has a chance of like sneaking it is Lies of P. I really dug the steampunk, like Pinocchio, that whole aesthetic. I think was really cool, especially with the enemy designs. Most Souls-like games always have S tier enemy designs and textures and backgrounds. But with that being said, Tears of the Kingdom.
What?
I
That's like
everything about
one in this
Tears.
category.
I'm on a roll with Tears, so
I could honestly see Hi-Fi Rush getting it. It does have a very distinctive art style.
My only thing about Tears of the Kingdom, it's not that it has bad art design. I'm not suggesting that at all. It is worthy of being in best art direction. It's just that the art direction is hardly differentiated from Breath of the Wild. That's not saying there's no difference.
Mm-hmm.
I just think in comparison to Mario Wonder, in comparison to what Lies of P brings to the table, what Hi-Fi Rush brings to the table, and what Alan Wake 2 brings to the table, it's like Tears of the Kingdom is not that much different from Breath of the Wild. So I feel like that is the weakest one here.
The aesthetic and just the animations of everything, though,
yeah, they're still good.
Was for me is I appreciate and I think are S tier. Now,
they are.
Am I going to win? Am I going to win? Probably not. Probably going to go to Alan Wake 2. David's probably going to be happy. So, but I have to shout out Tears because I just love everything about that game.
That's fine. Lies of P. I am not in any shape or form a lover of this like gothic steampunk style thing, but I have to admit that it captured my interest, and I was like, this is really fascinating design. Like it popped at me, and I was like, I'm kind of into it. So for me, it's between Hi-Fi Rush and Lies of P. Hi-Fi Rush has a smoothness to it that is unmatched in these games. This comic book feel that it has, with this fast-paced action, stuff happening all over the screen, and all of it blends well. It's not tearing your eyes apart. The color palette works just right, even though it's bright and a little flashy. I mean, it's really good. Like its animations are great. So, like you could just see every swing, every hit, gears flying out as you hit enemies. They're breaking apart, the smoke flying, the pow signs, all that stuff is so deliberate and specific. It's good. I'm choosing Hi-Fi Rush.
All of these noms are really good, though.
Yeah, this is one of the few years where it's a legitimate man. Everything is there's not always a true leader of the pack.
Yeah. Mario Wonder does some fantastic things too. The way they blend the flower levels right into the actual level, and you don't lose any spatial, awareness. You don't lose.
It's nothing jarring.
Yeah, there's nothing jarring. You still know where Mario is. The stuff that needs to pop pops. You got facial expressions on enemies, like as you're jumping over Goombas, they look up and they're like, "Oh, like you're about to stomp on me." Yeah. You see, if you stomp on a Goomba and there's another Goomba next to it, it reacts like, "Oh my god, I'm next." The backgrounds are much more lively than anything compared to New Super Mario Brothers. I heard it's built on kind of the Tears of the Kingdom engine. They stretched that thing to the max for Mario Wonder. So yeah, Mario Wonder's fantastic too, but I'm picking Hi-Fi Rush. David, go ahead, say something about Alan Wake 2. Let us hear.
He's like, nothing needs to be said.
Does David feel shut down now?
No.
Dude, you know what's going to happen? Alan Wake's going to sweep everything, and we're not going to hear the end of it. We're like,
oh, I know. We're
going to come back and just our heads are hanging low, and David's just grinning from ear to ear.
I know.
Well.
Put that green screen in the background to use, just rolling Alan Wake 2 footage over in the background.
How the turntables.
Well, I'm curious to know what you're going to think about this. Best narrative: Alan Wake 2, Baldur's Gate 3, Cyberpunk 2077, Phantom Liberty, Final Fantasy 16, and Marvel's Spider-Man. David, I want your thoughts first. Still over Baldur's Gate 3? Really?
Yes. This is a incredibly woven narrative that has so many different layers to it, and that is just absolutely fantastic. Do I think it's a guarantee? No, but I got to give it to it because Alan Wake 2 is just an incredible narrative experience. That's what the game is built on. And the way they weave so many different creative avenues into the narrative is what makes it so good. It's music, it's plays, it's just all of these things. Books, writing, all of it. It's just great.
All right, Noah.
They wove together 2 games too, playing as Saga and playing as Alan. Like it's hard to do that and do it well.
It's really tough because I know what I want to win and my pick to win, and then the pick that I think will win. First, I want to shout out Spider-Man 2. Phenomenal.
Oh yeah, it's on right there with Alan Wake,
especially that final act, like incredible narrative. I am a sucker for like spy thrillers where you don't know who's on the good side, who can you trust, everyone's playing their own hands at the table. So me personally, what I think is the best narrative is Phantom Liberty. Yeah. I
do find it interesting. This is the one place where they actually call it Phantom Liberty, like that they're calling out specifically the DLC.
The DLC is
interesting. It is interesting that a DLC got nominated technically. And I know it's more than that. I know it's more than that. It's just the implications of this isn't a game in and of itself, even if it is kind of a game in and of itself, if you get what I mean.
A big expansion.
Yeah. They did such a good job with the start to finish of that expansion, whatever you want to call it, is just top notch with the twists and the turns. That's what I would like to win, but I think BG3 takes it. I think I played through the first act and I like what they're doing. I just haven't gotten into it enough to see the full arc, even though I'm 40 hours into the game. So I'm going to go with BG3.
All right. I don't know any of these games in terms of narrative, so I'm just going to pick one. Baldur's Gate 3.
That's the safe pick.
It is the
That's
safe pick, and
realistic.
honestly, I think it's probably what they will pick. But I'm going with Alan Wake 2 just because I think there's a chance it could sneak in.
All right. 2 left.
Yep.
Best game direction. Alan Wake 2, Baldur's Gate 3, Spider-Man 2, Mario Wonder, Tears of the Kingdom. This one is as stacked as Game of the Year.
Yep.
This one's tough.
I mean,
Totally
it's the noms for Game of the Year minus
Yeah,
one.
pretty much.
I know.
And it's the one that's not there is the one that a lot of people didn't expect to be on there. So, man, this is tough. Outstanding creative vision and innovation. I love BG3. I think Alan Wake 2 has a good chance of being a sleeper pick. But I'm gonna go with Tears because the things that they did in this sequel, they did things and went a path that I didn't think you could go in a video game in terms of the creativity. And they innovated on a premise that Breath of the Wild did, but they took it to such a new level that when there are people making so many crazy designs with the different features, I can't fathom anything winning but Tears. So
Well,
I know I'm probably gonna lose.
It's not going to.
It's not going to, but in my
I don't
mind,
know. It might.
like
Totally might.
there are nominees or categories where I'm like, I think this is what I want to win, but this is what I think will win. This is one of those categories where it's both for me. Like, even if it might not, I still think it will because it's Tears. It still has that, presence about it.
I think
So-
Baldur's Gate 3 gets it. However, I'm voting Alan Wake because I mean they made this game in like less than 4 years, and what they made is incredible.
Wait, how does the development time come into play here?
The fact that they not only did it in less time than a lot of people build humongous games, but like this thing is an actual technical marvel that I've not played anything like it. Like, it's incredible that they have managed to put together an outstanding creative vision and innovate on a very short time frame. Like, it's just incredible.
Okay.
So I think real quick, I think what we're learning is David is an Alan Wake stan. I'm a Tears of the Kingdom stan.
Yep.
And so
Can y'all figure out what kind of stan I am?
Stanley.
Okay, there we go.
Resident Evil 4.
All right. I haven't played Baldur's Gate 3. I have heard about the great things it has done, so I'm aware of its feats, and I respect that. Same for Alan Wake 2. David has alone. I have been filling with all of David's praise about it. Tears of the Kingdom I have played, and the interesting thing about that one is I like it more than Breath of the Wild. I would like to finish that one. And I think that has one of the most bonkers just design I have seen for video games in a long time, where you actively give your players the ability to go anywhere and kind of break the game.
They can manipulate the game.
And yet you still have it balanced in such a way. The maps are designed, the areas are designed in such a way that there is still things to discover. There's still difficulty involved. And you can't simply just ascend your way to Ganondorf. Like that. How did you guys build this big old thing with a bottom, by the way, the depths? And
Which that whole thing as a creative direction is incredible, in my opinion.
The discoverability on that is top tier for sure. I don't know how, like that. It's some of the most genius design I've seen out of Nintendo, and like I'm not this Zelda kind of style person. Like I prefer classic Zelda. Um, but dear God, I'm like this is some freaking S tier next level design even for Nintendo. This is some great stuff. With that said, I look at Mario Wonder and look at how they've combined elements of Mario 3, Mario World, and improved on the new Super Mario design and just kind of just blow the whole thing up and just make it absolutely absurd. Really, really good level design. In a way that balances for newcomers and veterans. There's some freaking difficult levels in this game. So that one is absurd. So, and then I got respect for Spider-Man too, with the way that was designed. Just combining characters, switching between them. I haven't played it, but I can sense how it works when I watch it. I'm like, oh my God, this is actually really cool. Like how you can just swap between two every once in a while. Obviously, the frame rate stuff, like, yeah, doing all that flying, water flowing, stuff happening, no frame rate drop. Like this technical,
Instant
very good
fast
there.
travel.
Yeah, the
I mean,
instant fast
literally,
travel.
you point, and they actually said that it was a whole big debate thing of it was like, oh, the prompt is where it's loading, and they were like, no, we had to put it in there to make sure that you didn't accidentally fast travel places. It's that fast. Like that's what they were. That's what the designers came out and said. They said, no, we actually had to do that so that you wouldn't just insta fast travel everywhere.
That's crazy. So to combine all that with a good balance of gameplay to story, that's fantastic game direction. So I don't know. I think I'm gonna go with Tears of the Kingdom just because I think it's just bonkers how you let players be able to do all that stuff beyond what you did in Breath of the Wild and still make it an interesting game where it's not like, oh, you can just do whatever I want and it doesn't get boring. So
yeah.
Tears of the Kingdom for me.
And before we get to the big award, something that's really interesting this year, and it's part of the reason that I'm wondering if we're gonna have some random games sneak in, is because this is such a stacked year. It makes me wonder if some ballots are gonna be very just different. Like you're not gonna have the every single person with one game on the top with 2 through 5 mixed. Like you may have a lot of people with different number ones and all this kind of stuff. And it's like, it's very interesting if some of these awards that we think are such locks might be different for the sheer sake that people have their rankings all over the place because there's so many good games this year. Like, and that being the reason.
Quite possibly. With that said, here's Game of the Year. Alan Wake 2, Baldur's Gate 3, Marvel Spider-Man 2, Resident Evil 4, Mario Wonder, Tears of the Kingdom. David, we'll start with you.
Baldur's Gate 3. Baldur's Gate 3.
Really?
It's just I don't see. I think critically that as much acclaim as it has, and the people that are in the room, that I think they'll be the ones that'll give it to it.
Interesting. Yeah. Noah, what do you think?
It's do I stick to my guns and go with Tears, or do I go with, because I want Tears to win, or do I go with what I think will win, which is BG3? Because for me, I put 40 hours in. I'm into almost pretty much at the end of Act 1, about to start Act 2. And BG3 hasn't wowed me. Like, it's good. It's a really good game, but it hasn't wowed me and surprised me in the ways that Tears of the Kingdom did. We talked about the depths earlier. When you find the depths for the first time, that's an iconic, memorable experience for me, and that's one of the things that elevates a game for me in terms of winning. Is if you have two games that are equally good, but one wows you and makes memories of specific moments in that game, that boosts its you know, credibility for the win. So, man, this is tough. I because I don't want to happen this year what happened last year, where I still stuck to my guns and said Ragnarok, but Elden Ring won. So I do the reverse psychology and say, oh yeah, I think Baldur's will win, so that way Tears wins. I'm in a pickle, boys.
I think the difference between Elden Ring and God of War was Elden Ring still stood a head taller than God of War.
It's like, do I stick to my guns or do I go with the pick that, do I get the little check mark like, hey, Noah predicted it correctly? Man, Tears. I can't not vote for Tears and pred them. So that just, man, what a game. It needs to win game. Like,
it's been a long time.
It's tough to not vote for Tears. Like,
I know. It's been a long time since we've had two games where it's just like flip a coin. Just flip a coin.
Yeah, I didn't think anything was going to beat Tears. Like, I thought Tears was insta-lock for Game of the Year. And then BG3 comes out of nowhere, and I was like, I'm scared now because we can lose. There are stakes now. So
yeah. I felt the exact same way. I was like, Tears taking it. Oh, Baldur's Gate 3. Here we go.
Who this?
Welcome to the party.
Yeah, some new person rolled into town and took over.
My gut says Baldur's Gate 3 will win because Breath of the Wild won already. And I think people will want to choose something else other than Zelda. I'm still going to pick Tears of the Kingdom, though.
Yes.
Because it's such a strong game, and Zelda is such a strong... It's got such a strong grip on people. I'm pretty sure if we could have Steam charts for Zelda, they would probably be around the same thing as Baldur's Gate 3 in terms of number of people playing it. It's, I do think Baldur's Gate 3 will win, but on the off chance Tears of the Kingdom wins, I just want to say I picked it. So that's
like I said, it's just so hard not to pick for Tears.
I still think Alan Wake 2 is a dark horse, though.
I think Baldur's Gate 3 is the front runner. Just because we've seen kind of what Tears is, we haven't seen Baldur's Gate 3 like really ascend to the height that it has in this case. So I think it's really, again, it's that impressiveness. Mm-hmm. And Alan Wake 2 kind of has that. That's why it's probably third place on this list. It's got that impressiveness to it. Yeah. Tears of the Kingdom has that impressiveness too, but we've kind of seen it before. But again, how do you improve on perfection? And they did that. So Tears of the Kingdom is still a very much could win. So all right, that's it. That's all the nominations. We got our picks out there. The Game Awards happens at
Next
the time of this
Thursday.
recording.
Thursday,
Next
yeah.
week. By the time it comes out, it will be 3 days. So yeah, this is going to be a fun year. This is going to be
Yep.
an absolute fun year. So we'll be back on Game Awards night after the Game Awards are over. to
Well, the cool
record,
thing is
discuss
we won't
it.
even just be able to talk about the awards. We'll be able to talk about the new games that get announced too. So it's like we get
that's
a
true.
bunch of cool stuff to talk about,
Yeah.
more than just what won.
And we get to talk about all of Jeff Keighley's ads too. That's yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're either going to see a very happy Noah or a very petty Noah, depending on
Y'all gonna see a very smiley David when Alan Wake 2 It Takes Two's
sweeps
like somehow just
everything.
accidentally does everything. No, like I'll be honest, I would not even be this, like I would not even think it would be close if not for just the critical reception, how much the press loves that game. Like that's what the main reason that I think that like it could win some awards we don't expect to win. Do I expect to win a lot of things? I just don't know because it is a stacked year.
Yeah. My only problem with that logic is the press really liked Tears of the Kingdom and Baldur's Gate 3 also. So
Yeah.
like it's still like relative. Like Alan Wake 2 is down here and it only just keeps going up in that way.
Man, I know Alan Wake's going to sweep. And I'm going to have to wear earplugs for the entire podcast.
Oh, if Alan Wake sweeps, I'm canceling the podcast.
If there's no podcast, you know
gosh.
that Alan Wake swept.
Hey Anthony, it's Thursday.
No, it'll be a solo podcast hosted by David.
Oh yeah.
I'll be coming in the Conor McGregor like
It's just like,
We'll just have still frames of Noah and I, so that way David feels like he's showing us up a little bit.
yeah.
gosh.
All right. That was fun. We'll be back next week. Appreciate you watching. Appreciate you listening. We'll talk to you later. Deuces.
Peace.
Bye-bye.